All right, all right. What's going on, everybody? Let's get going. Welcome to the Michigan UFO Sightings and Paranormal Encounters podcast live show that we call After the Cast, or ATC. So, welcome, everybody. It's been a long night, had a lot of stuff set up for a different type of show, but tonight it's just going to be kind of hanging out and with one of my main dudes I like to talk with and do the live stream with. I got the amazing, the incredible, the miraculous, the magical, the psychic, Guy Merritt.
Please take your seats. Take your seats.
What is going on, Guy, man? This is
You left out that I was voted funniest boy in the 8th grade at Dye Junior High School. I don't know. What are we doing? What time is it? I'm old as shit.
It's 10:42 in the ice tundra of Michigan, man.
Yeah.
Hey, Rick Davis is here. Thanks, Rick. Worked on it today. It was a lot of work, and we were set up to do a show earlier, and things kind of went down sideways a little bit. So our real show will be tomorrow, but we're gonna have some fun with this today. I think Burton will probably be joining us here in about 20 minutes or so, if he can jump on. But one of the things I want to point out, and Guy, before we start digging into some of this stuff, and not only is it cold as hell here in Michigan, which is funny to say, but let's take a look at this backdrop for a minute. Hold on. Guy, I'm going to bring you out. I'm going to jump. All right. So what I want to show you guys is that this backdrop is all AI generated. So here, I'm gonna put this up again.
Interesting.
Guy, is that not wacky? All I did was type in some words into an online art program, and I said aliens, Bigfoot, nighttime UFOs, and I think
they put that thing together, that whole graphic.
Yeah, it's actually 3 different pieces of artwork that I put together that the AI generated, man.
That's cool.
Now, obviously, like the logo and stuff, that's all my stuff that I just put on top of it.
Right. But the artwork,
yeah,
panels,
yeah.
Well, I saw a video yesterday, and it was actually a guy that does political commentary generally. I don't know. Kyle Kalinske did a thing about, he said, you got to see these pictures. And they were it looked like a bunch of college girls in bikinis. And I mean, it just looked like a normal picture. And they looked human, and it was all AI generated.
Oh, is that the ones that had the creepy fingers? And
no, if you go, he's a progressive political guy.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into politics. I mean, I just listen to him now and then. And, agree with him on some stuff, disagree on other stuff, but he doesn't normally do that kind of a video. But I'm trying to think of the name of his channel. It's crazy. I mean, it's crazy. It's these girls, to be frank, these kind of large-breasted girls that look like college girls in bikinis, and they just look like normal people, but it's totally AI generated, and it's kind of freaky because they don't look the same. They don't look identical.
Yep.
It's just kind of crazy that they can do that. I mean, it goes to show you how hard it's going to be, or how hard it already is to discriminate between, what's real in terms of, especially when you get into stuff like, UFOs and that kind of stuff. It just has a lot of ramifications generally, but,
Yeah, we already have enough fakes with analog stuff and, really bad digital and CGI things, whether it's somebody throwing a frisbee through the air or, and catching it at the right moment and things like that, all the way to CGI. But yeah, this AI stuff is crazy. Um, and I forgot what I think it's Chat GPT or something like that. That this thing is writing papers that can pass master's degree
Oh, I've heard
thesis
about
and
that.
stuff,
I've heard
right?
about that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know the name of it, but I'd heard that there was something that you could submit. You could say, "I need this paper," and it would write some really, you know, well-written academic paper on some
yeah,
subject. It's just crazy, man.
it is. So yeah, man. Samo is saying 3 in a row: Richie, Amy, and you. Well, actually, it'd be 4, wouldn't it? Because Nate's on, isn't he? Or did he close out? This isn't our real show that we were gonna do tonight. Burton had some family things that he was doing, so we went ahead and just kind of Guy and I decided to jump on. So yeah,
Well, you had said you had messaged me and said you had some cryptid stuff, and I
yes,
think a ghost thing, and that's kind of the meat and potatoes of Burton's
yeah,
interest, his expertise, and whereas I'm just a guy that does plumbing, drywall, and electrical, and used to play the piano, and happened to almost get abducted by my coworkers. Got abducted. I was thinking today, what's that line? Always a bridesmaid, never a bride. They
yeah,
rejected me, but I'm the UFO. I'm the resident UFO guy, so that's kind
yeah.
of
I guess that's more where I'm at too, and coming from a science background, wanting to know how these things are working and what's going on. But
what's
yeah,
up.
man. So yeah, so tomorrow I've got an article about Michigan Bigfoot that was recently called
That's what it
in.
was. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
big. Yeah.
Then we got Michigan Chupacabra with the 911 call that went out. And then,
I'd not heard about that.
yeah, and then we've got I said UFOs made in China, but they shot it down today. So, the
You made a
Chinese
you made a good
surveillance.
point. You and I were chatting on Messenger, and I
Yeah.
had the exact same thought that you did. That with all the tech we've got, I would have thought there would have been a way to, fly up. Well, of course, it was at 60,000 feet, but I would have thought there might have been a way to kind of snag the thing and not wreck it, so you could find out what they were doing.
Yeah, I know during Vietnam, and maybe the balloon would be way too high for this. You'd need a jet. I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I think they were saying it was something like 8 miles up or something like that. But
I,
back
I
in
heard I
Vietnam,
heard 60,000 feet, and there's only a couple of jet
yeah,
F-21. I don't know anything about aviation. They said there are only a couple of jets that could go that high so I don't know. But
yeah,
which
but they used to be able to rescue people, like when they would take hostages, like high-ranking generals or lieutenants or whatever in the Vietnam War. They would capture these people and to get them out of the area and interrogate them. They used to tie them up to a large balloon, float the balloon up out of the tree canopy, and a C-130 would come by with a big hook on its nose and catch the wire and lift them right off the ground and pull them into the back. I don't know why they couldn't
seriously,
figure out.
I've never heard
Yeah.
of it. I never
Oh
heard of
yeah.
that. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. So
Escape by balloon.
yeah. So let's I'm glad people are joining, and coming over to see us. We got Rick, we got Samo, we got Iris, which is very cool. We have a Facebook user. It doesn't show us your name.
Where is Charlie?
Yeah.
Charlie will probably be here because the little rascal, it's not the word I was thinking of. The little shit sleeps. He just slept for about 2 hours. And when he does that, as we were going on live, I said to Linda, great, he's waking up and he's running around. He gets zoomies and he's got a ball in his mind.
Yeah.
He'll be here. He loves being he wants to be an internet sensation, I think. I don't know.
Yep. But anyways, that's true. And we got Jammer Travels in the crowd, and we got Rick. And let's see, who else do we have? We got Samo, obviously. Um,
He's here a lot.
yeah,
He's
I made him. I made him one of the chat moderators.
he's omnipresent. He's like, I don't
Yeah.
want to say he's like God, but he's like everywhere I look. If I go
Ah,
anywhere,
Rick remembers the movie where they showcase the hostage.
really,
Uh, yeah, in the movie Green Berets.
that's
Yep.
wild, man.
Yeah.
I'll be damned.
So welcome everybody who's
Yeah.
watching and who will watch in the future. So thanks for joining us. Like I said, we're just gonna hang out and Guy and I were chatting a lot and said, you know what, we're talking about a lot of stuff. Maybe we can turn this into something here because we were all set, all the toys were set up, everything was ready to go for our live stream, and then just we decided to do the main one tomorrow. So
Well, Burton, as I said, is the guy that knows. He's really into like Bigfoot and cryptids and all that
oh
stuff.
yeah,
I'm the
and the
UFO
paranormal.
guy, so yeah, I'm more of a straight ahead UFO guy that was never into anything weird, and I kind of remain sort of a straight. I joke around and I goof around, but I was a pretty straight laced guy. I just happened to have these odd experiences that were completely real, and but anyway, that's my focus. And well, hey Sam, thank you. Love to you too.
Yeah, so we got some good people in chat, man. There's a lot of good people. Um so I guess Guy, one of the things I can tell you is I'm really happy because today I got my hotel room and my flight booked for Asheville, North Carolina for
Oh
June
yeah,
16th.
well that's exciting.
Going to meet Randall Carlson and
That's
Graham Hancock and
oh man.
all those bigwigs in that, and I'm really super excited, man. I can't wait. It's going to be my first like alternative history, you know, conference, and being a nurse science guy, man. And
Yeah.
by the way, people, if you haven't checked it out, I started a series. I did my first video on what is the scientific method. My next video is going to be on learning latitude and longitude. I'm going to keep it very quick and very simple for people. And then the one after that, I'm going to start dipping into some astronomy because I'm seeing some really weird stuff go out there. I don't think people really can comprehend the size of our sun. Um, Guys, so just for a quick question for you, how many planet Earths do you think will fit inside the sun?
You want me to guess?
Yeah, or do you
Uh,
know? I'm gonna type it in to make sure
I
I
mean,
right.
you know who I am. You know, I don't know. Let's say I'm gonna
It,
say I'm gonna say 897,000. I don't know.
oh, nice. You're not that far off, man.
Seriously?
Yeah, 1.3 million Earths could fit into the sun. That's
Wow.
how big our star is, and that's considered a medium star.
I told you I wasn't psychic. I didn't know.
Yeah. Samo said 1 billion.
Well, I was closer.
Hey, Mark Calhoun is here. What's going on, man? Thanks for joining us. Do you think Bigfoot and UFOs could be linked in some way? I kind of do.
Absolutely. I think most people that have gotten into this stuff, I got into it through seeing a UFO close up, uh, and having another experience. I had a couple of experiences and kind of opened my mind to a lot of things. And I think there's probably, I wouldn't be surprised, let me say that, if there was a connection. I don't
Yeah.
know, but
Yep. I'm right there with you, man. But yeah, so 1.3 million Earths
yeah,
can fit into the sun. Now, I see people that make comments and talk about things affecting the sun, like comets going around it and things like that. And I have to tell you, and that's one of the reasons why my theory and my hypothesis about aliens and UFOs is not necessarily extraterrestrial, because being able to see Earth on the equatorial plane going around the sun would be like a grain of sand going, to our eyes. For some kind of technology or craft or people to see our planet going around our star would be extremely difficult because we're so tiny compared to it. Um, But I think there's other explanations. And it goes back to the whole ancient technology and civilizations. I'm not saying it's not, right? I'm not saying that it couldn't happen. I'm just saying that the possibility of things being already here or made by a previous civilization that's still running could be what's going on. We know less about our oceans than we do outer space. So, but I'll get into that later.
I'm playing with my new microphone. I didn't get this to be slick. I got it because, not to change the subject, but I've got this old webcam, and I told Wayne whenever I wanted to be heard, I would have to lean into it. Reminded me of the Jim Varney commercials where he would go, "You know what I mean, Vern?" So I got a microphone so I can sit back and feel like I've gone Hollywood. That's thanks to my wife. But that's an interesting idea, Wayne. I hear that a lot. People saying that they're inner Earth or they're from under the oceans, and I mean anything is a possibility. I personally fall down on the side of, for me, well, I certainly think there have been ancient civilizations. I've been watching watched a guy on Rogan. He was on about a week ago. He's a British guy.
Yeah.
And I didn't see the whole show. I've seen some clips, and I mean, it's pretty cool.
That's Graham.
I think
it's Graham Hancock.
No, I know Graham Hancock.
Oh, okay.
This guy's much younger and balding. Don't know his name, but he was talking about just this ancient architecture that we find and how it's obviously been made by advanced kind of tools, and he shows how it can't be handmade pretty much. And I mean, I think there's something in what you're saying, but I would absolutely not rule out. To me, you look at the size of the universe, right? And then, I mean, the idea that we would be the two things, that we would be the only beings, intelligent beings, and I use that advisedly, quotation marks around intelligent. It takes us a week to shoot down a balloon that we found that started over the Aleutian Islands, I don't know how smart we are, but anyway, the idea that we'd be the only intelligent being. I told you I was the funniest boy in the 8th grade. Yeah. I was shooting for best looking and didn't work out. So, but the idea that we could be the only intelligent beings and that we would have been the ones that evolved the earliest. I mean, mathematically, that's for me. I'm not saying this is how it is, just for Guy. I'm an old guy. I'm tired, not feeling that great lately. So, pretty soon I'll fall over and you'll be able to go, glad he's going. I don't have to listen to his butt anymore. But that just seems implausible, on the cusp of impossible given the math.
Correct.
You gotta believe
100%.
that there's other beings that evolved in other star systems, some of whom are right about where we're at, some of whom are behind us, and some of whom are probably 4 million years ahead of us. And look where we've come in 100 years. What would that look like? I mean, that would be so insane.
Yeah.
It would look like beyond, it would be magic we couldn't even imagine. So, but I'm not saying I think it's important to talk about what you said, that a lot of people, they could be from other planets and just kind of be based here semi-permanently, you know what I mean? So who the hell knows? I don't know.
Or
I don't know anything.
All the above. Samo says here, I believe past civilizations were way too smart. Didn't the Incas say when they got there, it was already there, built by someone before them? I believe so. I believe that was the case. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I do know that there are plenty, and I mean plenty of examples out there, and evidence, I should say evidence, because it would be evidence for a high-tech civilization that was here thousands and thousands of years ago. When you look at the buildings of, let's say, what is the one in Lebanon? Baalbek, where there are those huge trilithon stones and then the Romans came along and built on top of them. So when people move from place to place, they will repurpose what they, take over what's left, especially if they're survivors of some type of cataclysm. So yeah, they probably were smart. One of the other things I wanted to say before, man, I think it just went out of my head. It is late and we're goofing around here.
Things go out of my head all the time.
Man, dude, it's really bad. But it had something to do with the ancient civilization, but whatever. Um, yeah, Incan temples. We are the only ones in this dimension. Yeah, we're just too far apart. Okay, so Samo then says we're just too far apart to connect in time or in distance. Each civilization has its age. Ah, yeah. And that's where I think we need to pay attention to the sun. The sun and these rocks that are floating around in our solar system.
What do you mean? This is why we should pay attention to the sun. I ate some chocolate stuck to
there. There's a lot of evidence that coronal mass ejections, where the sun blows off, gas and stuff, hit the Earth.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that seem to be happening right now. We have a sun that's becoming very active again. Our magnetic poles are shifting and they're moving further and further every day. They're going faster and faster. So you have the North and the South Pole doing this kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And it's getting to the point where airports are actually having to renumber their runways.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's actually been around for a while.
Yeah. So, yeah. Oh, that's what I was going to say. There is I think it was the Navajo tribe, talking about how they received help at one point from what they call the ant people. And the ant people were basically humans that lived underground.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And of course, the very smart academics will tell these people of these indigenous tribes,
yeah,
you don't know what you're talking about. Those are myths. That's baloney.
Yeah.
You're telling them their history when their history goes back further than this country and what they knew or anything. And they have the oral passed down traditions. This is what they did. And it's just amazing that these academics seem to have the audacity to tell these people that their own history is baloney. There's meaning to it. So definitely, I think that that these ant people were probably survivors. I mean, they found huge underground cities at this point. And where do you go to get away from something falling from the sky? Underground. And Turkey is littered with these huge underground caverns where thousands of people could have lived. I mean, I don't know what other evidence you really need to know about people going underground to survive. Could they still be there now? Maybe, but could the technology be there and still be operating? Especially some people like myself think that the Greys are more or less drones. They're, I think they're biological drones. They're kind of like a cyborg thing. And
I got to interrupt. I got to interject.
Yeah, go for it.
I run with a strange crowd. I've got a lot of friends who, and I've been through this before, who are, pillars of the community, policemen, nurses, doctors, all kinds of people, plumbers, high school dropouts, but people who swear that they've interacted with these beings. And, because of what's happened to me, I believe them, right? And I think the small Greys, as you often hear, are kind of like they're on the order of a robot or a cyborg or whatever the word is. They're biological, but they're manufactured.
Yes.
But there are beings on these craft that I don't think are, that I think, may have, and, I'm speculating. I don't know anything, but I mean, would be more like us, would maybe have what we'd call a soul, or, they'd be organic and they'd just be a tangible, they'd be a being, I don't think they're all robots, but that's
No,
again, this is my opinion. Don't listen to me.
I
I've
agree.
had some weird experiences and don't know squat. So I don't think I don't know. I don't think everything that we're seeing or that people are interacting with. And I could be wrong. I don't think it's all, you know, stuff that somebody's built. I think some of them. Sometimes you interact with the builders. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Just beings that evolved a little bit differently than we did because of the whatever the kind of sun or atmosphere they had. And I mean, to me, that's just logically how the universe would probably work. But this is what what I suspect.
Well, I'm of the opinion
Yeah,
that life is the rule of the universe. It's not the exception. I don't think
it is. I think it is.
Yeah, when you look at the amount of time, if they are correct about the amount of time and how old the universe is and how many stars and everything that's existed, it just makes sense. But I want to go to a couple of these comments here. So Rick says there's also stories of the red-haired giants with six fingers in Indian lore. That is correct. I don't remember the specific tribe, but then you go into the Mayans talking about Quetzalcoatl, who was a white man with red hair and a beard that was sailing, that came to shore to teach them things on a boat that was driven by snakes, twisting snakes in the water. That sounds like a powered boat to me, right? And then there's the Caracas people down in Peru and South America, where they were the elongated skull people, the Paracas. I think that's what they were called, or how they were. Anyways, they had long red hair, and genetically, I know they were tested, and from what I understand, they were tracked back up to the Baltic Sea, so all the way up into Europe. So somehow they got from Europe all the way over and down in South America, right? But their genes tracked them all the way back. So there's all of this stuff that just gets overlooked when we talk about our history. And let's see what Samo says here. Don't the people of some African countries say, I think that's supposed to be their gods came from Sirius? Yeah, that's the Dogon. And you'll find that those Dogon people paint their bodies. The tribesmen will paint their bodies, and the symbols that they paint them with are the same ones that you find on Easter Island. It's crazy. Yeah.
These guys on this Rogan podcast were talking about the fact that they found they weren't not pyramids. They found what's the word? Coffins. The burial coffins.
Yeah.
Like Egypt, that were this really bizarro design that from thousands and thousands of years ago, and they also found them in like Japan, which I mean, we don't know anything, man. I'm telling, and I think there's tons of different kinds of beings. I sent you and Burton a link to I've got a website that's just for fun. I run a web server as a hobby. I've done it for 30 years, but no money. Just I can post stuff and messing around is my ham radio. But I sent you guys a link to a snippet of that missing 411. The UFO connection, where this guy Carl Higdon, he described a being that was nothing like anything I've ever heard. There was a guy that got abducted, two guys that got abducted down in Pascagoula, Mississippi back in the 70s, and they described kind of strange blue beings that were working with robotic beings that looked nothing like grays. I mean, I think I'm going to, I know we try to keep this PG. I think there's probably a shitload of different kinds of beings because we're far too cynical. The cynicism with humans, and I was guilty of it. I was never a crazy cynic, but I mean, I've said to you a couple times when we've talked, when people, this guy, Carl Higdon, He's an oil field worker. He's never really made any money from this. His wife wrote a book at one point, but he's a good family guy with 6 kids. I can't see this guy making this up. You've got Charles Hall, who's got an amazing resume, who says he dealt with the tall whites out. What is, I mean, you know what you've seen. I know what happened to me, and it was weird, really weird. Paralyzed in a blue beam of light around my house, seen a UFO. I feel as though I got my ass handed to me, and it's in the sense that I learned. I don't dismiss the testimony of people like I used to, because there's just no reason to invent this stuff. So if you look at it, there's descriptions of all kinds of beings. I've heard of other people describing ant people. I mean, you just hear all these. There's probably tons of different kinds of these beings. I mean, it's just the most likely. That's what I think.
Right.
Again, I'm just some guy. This is my idea. I mean, I get tired of everybody's got, and I don't mean you. I mean, these kind of conversations. But you go on the internet, and some people, they're going to tell you exactly. You know, there's these beings up from here. There's these beings. There's 12 kinds. There's 64 kinds. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a crap load of them, and I don't know why we're so resistant. Some people on this planet can't kind of see that that's probably how the universe would work. I mean, for me, I look at it and think, yeah, it seems like that's how it would be, because people evolve differently. And what's it called? Transpermia. I mean, just and just, you know, maybe they'd land here and alter a genetic code with this bunch, and maybe you know, because of the
Diane's here.
Well, anyway, but I just think there's a lot of different kinds of them, and I think damned few people. No, I don't mean everybody's telling the truth, but I don't think too many people tell these elaborate narratives of having contact with an alien for shits and grins, or to write one book. I mean, there's easier ways to scam money out of people and not destroy your reputation. You know. Anyway, that's my sermon on the mount for the evening.
Hold on a minute. We got a flag on the play with that.
Charlie said, hey, what about Charlie? He's like, Dad, I want to be on TV. He's trying to lick my microphone.
All right, it's Charlie.
All right, you're a good boy.
All right, so just real quick, this is the Dogon tribe, and look at their masks that they wear, and they run around on stilts, and they are connected.
Yeah, what was the inspiration for that? You know,
right, and they say it's the star Sirius, the dog god.
Probably is.
And how long has this been around that they were calling it, you know, Sirius, the dog star? Right. And they knew things about the constellation that we didn't even have the technology to see yet.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Is that proven that they had some knowledge?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I heard about it. I'm not just saying this. I think I heard somebody talking about that recently, that they knew things about the cosmos that they had no way of knowing, right? That we didn't know for years and years and years.
Hi, Diane. Welcome. Just had to shoot that in. Let's see. Samo's going to town here. He says they found human skeletons under a mammoth burial site. The human skeletons went back over 150,000 more years. There's a big gap. Has man been on Earth longer than we really know? Right now, the going number, if you're going to be conservative with the number, is about 750,000 years. Things are starting to look like it's getting even older than that. So, Samo, it's one of the things I'm fascinated with, because I study the catastrophes that happen and the different extinction things that have happened over time. So that's one of the things my background is really about, that I really like, is the catastrophism. So that's why I like Randall Carlson and Graham Hancock and things, because once you understand the power of the earth and what it can do, we are nothing. We are like fleas on the back of a giant dog. So for the earth to shrug us off in within 100 years, 200 years, there would be nothing that aliens would come down here and be able to find left of us. So if you figure a big flood came about, 12,000 years ago, the end of the last ice age, and wiped everything out, our best bet to find any of this ancient stuff anymore is probably on the continental shelves. We need people to get underwater and get down there and start digging, and maybe we might find something. But yeah. So anyways, that's where I'm at, because the continental shelves that we get our natural gas and oil out of, that used to be all swamplands. It's only been flooded for the last 10,000 years or so when the ice sheets melted. All right, Diane's got something here. This is really important.
It is. That it matters. For me, it is.
Yeah.
Because I'm a dog guy. I've got 2 female chihuahuas and 2 pit bulls. Male and female. It's funny because Linda had a pit bull. She's had a couple of pit bulls. And then I inherited some chihuahuas, which I always would look at chihuahuas and, man, who would have a chihuahua? And just kind of fell in love with them. They're crazy little guys. And so we've got those.
I had a pit bull who was outstanding. She was one of the greatest dogs ever. I mean, she took care of our kids, man. She treated them like her puppies, and she was the sweetest dog.
Yeah, a lot of them are. It's how they're raised, and
all right,
bloodline.
Samo asked a good question. How did they know? How that's the $1 million question. We only discovered it after they told us where to look at. Exactly. That's exactly right. How did they know? He's talking about the Dogon.
Oh.
Knowing about stars that you couldn't see with the naked eye.
Right.
So.
Yeah. It's a very good question.
Yep.
I don't think it's, that I feel like the mainstream media has kind of worked overtime to make phrases like "we're not alone," or, when you suggest we've never been alone, they want to make that sound like this pop culture meme that's silly. But I think they have been here forever and ever, a very, very long time. I mean, when I say they, kind of us, them, I'm not sure what the difference is. I would think they've probably got DNA. We might be related to these other beings. I mean, people who live in China don't look like me, and I don't look like them, but we could breed. We're the same animal. I mean,
yeah. It's really, it's really interesting to think about all of the missing pieces, yet we've created, archaeology is one of those soft sciences where it's like they find some stuff and then they try to date it based on where it is in the strata and the different layers of the earth and what's in there. Because most things, past 50,000 years cannot be carbon dated.
You can't. They were talking about this on Rogan, and I want to ask you. You would know. They said you can't carbon date like rock. Is that right? Okay.
Yeah. Carbon dating is only for things that have been alive.
Okay.
For living things.
I'm a dumb guy, so
Yep. Now, there are ways you can date rock if they have certain types of crystals in them, like zirconian crystals and things like that.
Right.
It's very, very difficult to do, though. So
right. I would think it would not be perhaps as exacting. Well, I mean, carbon dating isn't exact, but it's pretty good.
Yeah. Now, here's an interesting thing, and this goes back to some of our Western Christian and Judaism and even Muslim mythology, if you want to call the Bible a myth. But he talks about too many genome / types all in one place. Yeah, it's very interesting because if you think about that, you go to the story of Babel, where all the people came together and they all started speaking basically one language, right? And then they were trying to build this huge tower to reach God, and God said nope and thumped them and then spread them all across the land to speak new languages and stuff. Well, what about we were very high tech people, probably all of us trading and living on this planet, doing all kinds of good stuff. And, and then they're building this huge complex, and then a meteor or asteroid comes and crashes into the ice sheets and floods everything out and destroys the temple. Those stories all get mixed together. And that's what was left. So it's like, they found Troy, right? They found Sodom and Gomorrah. These places, how much is historical and how much is myth? And they keep on finding more and more things. Now, they're not finding any evidence of people walking on water or getting resurrected or whatever the case may be. I mean,
Every 2 years they find Noah's Ark, but
yeah, well, of course. But again, Noah's Ark was built out of wood. If that actually happened and it was like really like 10,000 years ago, not 3,000 years ago or 4,000 years ago when they would say that there was this flood. But see, the flood goes back 12,000 years ago. That we know because
right. Well, there may have been a
she's
flood. I just don't buy. I mean, I
oh right, two
I don't
of
want to get off on
everything.
religion. I mean, I'm not anti. I'm not one of those like atheist guys. But I mean, as far as I look at the Bible, and I mean, the essential message of Jesus is beautiful and could be summed up in about 6 pages. But stories about a guy built a boat and put every animal on the planet, every form of life, and I mean, come on. When are we going to start? When are we going to start saying, okay, much of this is absolute mythology, and that's all it is. I mean, it's hard for me to be on this planet sometimes, and when so many people look at that kind of thing and take it as literal, as historical record. I mean that some guy did that, and
Yeah.
there's all. I've got a ton of Bible software. I got very interested in that for a few years, and there's a lot of crazy stuff in there about beating your children to death if they're disobedient, and if a priest's daughter becomes a prostitute, she should be burned alive, and
Yeah.
I'm like, so I struggle to take
And a lot of that
those
still
things
exists.
seriously.
That still exists over in the Middle East. I mean, most people don't understand that the Jewish the Old Testament part of the Bible is the original Bible. That's the Judaism, and then on top of that, you have the New Testament, which are the teachings and the story of Christ. So that's the Christian Bible, and then you have Islam, which the Quran fits on top of the Jewish Bible, just like
But
the
I spent a lot of time
oh,
in some churches in the United States as an adult, and believe me, they use the Old Testament whenever it's convenient, no
well,
matter how weird it is.
that's a human failing because a lot of people will read things that are descriptive as prescriptive. So in other words, if your child steals something, cut off their right hand.
Right.
No, that's what they used to do. That's not a prescript for now.
Well,
And it's just like what
that
was
might be a
it
good
in
indication that we should ignore a lot of that.
well, right. That's right. That's exactly right. But I mean, what was it in the 60s when the Catholic Church finally came out and said that Mary Magdalene was not a prostitute? And she's still to this day considered a prostitute, the one that washed Jesus's hair with her feet with her hair and oil.
Right.
It never says anywhere in the Bible she was associated with some women in the streets, but she was never a prostitute. And in the 60s, I want to say it was like 1965 or 69, the Catholic Church came out and said, yeah, that's incorrect. She was not a prostitute. And it's still carried over to this day and still talked about as if the prostitute that was saved by Christ. That's not how it really went. And people still perpetuate the myth. So, anyways, it's
knows about that stuff. I mean, that's
Samo.
yeah.
Well, I used to work. I used to work for a publishing company that when I was a lot younger, one of the first jobs I had when I got out of the military was making church bulletins for hundreds of churches around the state. And so, you just kind of read and learn about these things and talk to all these different priests and stuff. And it's really interesting. And you can tell the ones that have really become like biblical scholars and dug into more history versus the ones that are just kind of looking at the Bible at the surface level. So, I mean, people take it for what it is. Whatever they make it fit for themselves is what they'll do. But Samo says here, why do they hide all of this from us, like the
Good
past?
question. Yeah.
Like we're not supposed to know.
Yeah. What? That's a great.
I got some theories.
Yeah. What are they? Because I want to know. I want to know too, Samo.
Okay. I think that all of this stuff, even the stuff we're doing right now, and I'm just going out on a limb, a lot of the stuff that we do here distracts us and has been created to distract us and make us fit into a narrative so we don't learn our real human potential. And by that, I mean, look at somebody like Wim Hof. Okay. Wim Hof is a perfect example of when you can get your mind and your body to work a certain way. The guy's had no formal training. He came up with this stuff by studying different meditation techniques and breathing techniques. I mean, what else could we unlock? I mean, I'm a big fan of like David Goggins because he's a former military guy and we have the same kind of mindset when it comes to work ethic and things like that. You look at what that guy did to prove his life and to become a Navy SEAL. He went through Hell Week 3 times so he could qualify. And the last time he went through it, he was on broken legs. His shins were shattered. He taped them up and he still ran. So, and if you know a Navy SEAL, which I've known a couple, and the way that they would deal with cold water and things, the way that you can overcome things with your mind when your body is ready to shut down, you almost have to think of your brain as a third party in your head. Like you got your mind, your other mind, and your body. As soon as your body starts to feel a little bit of pain, that one part of your mind goes, nope, I can sit on the couch, eat some chips, and watch football. Then the other part of your mind has to agree with that. And it's when you can disagree with that one part of your mind that tells you, hey, sit down, don't go run, don't lift weights, don't do this. You're too old, you're too slow, you're this or that. As soon as you can disengage that side of your brain and beat it into the ground, then you'll understand what your potential is. And that's what I like about these guys. Wim Hof, he's jumping into ice baths. He's, out in Iceland or wherever he's at, Sweden or whatever, jumping in frozen lakes and all of that stuff. So imagine that's just the tip of the iceberg. Who's the one guy? Stig Stevenson, something like that. Another Norwegian guy who can hold his breath for 22 minutes in freezing water underwater. It's insane.
Yeah, it's amazing what what the mind, the power of the mind, and I think that's something they'd rather we didn't tap into.
That's right. So let's build all of the distraction devices we can.
Exactly. I think everything you said is that was kind of what I think. You were channeling me.
Well, and I'm hyped up too because I had an awesome 2-hour weightlifting workout today. So I'm fired up, even though I'm tired. I'm like energized right now. So
that's an interesting conversation, and that's Sandy. That was a good question. I mean,
it was.
I've thought about it many times. It's like, so what's the deal? I mean, why can't we know this? I mean, my UFO experiences, Wayne's seen one. It was very odd.
Yeah, man.
Pretty close to it. I saw one really close. My coworkers got abducted. I can't control who believes that, but I'm sure they did. And so did 2 other women at the same spot. I had my house beamed with a blue light. Then after that, I had tons of weird stuff. So I know there's these other beings. What are they? I don't know. What are their intentions? I don't know. Where are they from? I don't know.
and we can speculate.
We're getting lied to. I know that.
Yeah, there's a lot of fakes out there, and I get kind of creeped out with some of the fakes. That's why I don't want to step on any toes here. But
no, wait a minute. I've got a crystal ashtray right here.
Okay.
I'm channeling right now. Well, no, forget that whole stuff. Forget that line of questioning, reasoning, those remarks. But I know what you're thinking.
Guy, flag on the play, man. Well, I mean, on top of people faking UFO stuff, and here's I'm gonna step on toes. I know, like Richie, we're good friends and stuff, and I know there's all this controversy about third phase of moon. Okay, third phase of moon just takes whatever video is basically sent to them and puts it out there, and then they try to speculate whether it's real or not. But they put it out there. That's their thing. I don't really care. I don't watch it. I've watched enough to kind of get the gist of what it is, but I'm not saying they should be gatekeepers of this stuff. It's just in this touchy subject. Do we want to just throw everything out there with the bathwater, the baby in the bathwater, and just go, here you go? Because I have people sending stuff every day, videos of stuff every day into my Facebook group, and I have to look at it and go, do I want to put this up or not? It's obviously BS. It's garbage. We can't tell, and it might be real. Here's the thing: it might be real, but a dot is a dot. A glowing orb, I don't know how high your camera's elevated. I don't know what time of day it is. If it's nighttime, where you're located. None of this stuff. And it's like you don't know who's sending it to you. They could be making stuff in their basement, and this field has so much working against it. And by field, I mean ufology and anything in the paranormal.
It does. And for a lot of people, it's entertainment, and
it is.
It's not. Well, it is. It's it's kind of a growth industry. You can make a lot of money at it, and and I've never made any money at it, and don't want to. And but there's so much bullshit out there as far as like you said, people will throw anything up because they know they'll get a zillion views and AdSense money, and and I'm like, that's why I stay. I mean, I hang with you and Michelle and Burton because I believe your stories, and I know you've had, and you approach it pretty scientifically, and you're not into wacky shit, and no, that's totally unprovable, and but it is. I don't know. It's a tough field because there are so many people now seeing it as a ticket to, well, particularly on YouTube, right? But elsewhere as well. And, some documentaries are, pretty, could have not been made, in my opinion, given the, the provenance of the materials they're using. I'm just kind of questioning. But YouTube is real bad for it. You see so many channels, people claiming this, claiming that, and then somebody like myself who spent 5 years talking to a therapist over this stuff, I get lumped in with those people, with the people that are just making a buck. It's fun, it's entertaining, and
all right. So, Guy, we got a couple of questions here, and we need to dive into these. I want to do Mark Coughlin's first. He says, "But why are there so many different varieties of aliens and ships?" Okay, let's break that into two questions. Why are there so many different varieties of aliens? We don't know that for sure. We don't have a mantis being laying here. We don't have a little gray here. We have no physical. This is where Guy gets pissed off.
No, I don't get pissed off.
Yes, it is. because this is where your
I have a bias.
your people that piss you off that say,
What?
well, this is in the spiritual realm. These are spiritual creatures. And why do they say that? Because these obviously something's happening, right? Something's
Well,
happening, but because we don't have the physical evidence, it must be spiritual. So now it goes into the Bible and all that stuff.
yeah,
That's
but
exactly why they do that.
see,
Where's the biology?
yeah. I don't necessarily connect. Oh man, we would have to have a whole different podcast. I don't necessarily
That's
connect
why it's easy to fake
spiritual things to like the Old Testament and cutting off your kids' hands and burning priests' daughters who become hookers.
Oh no, but like the Witch of Endor.
I mean, what's
ghosts.
I think the spiritual side of life is like maybe the most important side. I mean, not maybe, it is. And
Demonic.
I think the spiritual.
Where's the demons coming from?
Well, I mean, I don't know that there are demons in the sense that you're implying, which are things like from the Bible they're not just bad guys.
Satan,
they're
fallen angels,
supernatural bad guys that come from this other realm, and yeah, maybe they exist. I don't know.
That's what people on that side say. Yeah. They say they do exist, but because we haven't found any bodies or anything, but we do know that things happen to people. Therefore,
let me say
interdimensional.
Remember, I'm going to interrupt, and it's going to piss you off, but I say this every podcast. This is the best example I can give. I'm going to do it again because I'm a grumpy old son of a bitch. Every indigenous peoples, darn near, that's ever encountered a white European, these Pacific atolls on, wherever they're at, the first time they see a white European with a camera, they go, "Oh my God, it's a demon! Oh my God, it's a god!"
They've been wrong every time.
They've been wrong, like I said, not 90% of the time. They've got a perfect track record. They've been wrong 178% of the time. They've been wrong every time. Can't you see this is in our friggin' DNA? I don't know what it is. Ergo, it's a demon. It's an angel.
There you go.
We do it every time.
But Guy,
come on, refute what I just said. What I just said. This is what we do, and we've been wrong with you every friggin' time. It's never been the case. Not once yet.
I know. I'm with you 100%. But those same indigenous people, before they ran into white people, had their mythologies and tales about evil spirits, the trickster spirits, these spirits, that spirits, and they draw them out and they look like goddamn aliens.
Yeah. But they had those things. And when they saw a guy they didn't recognize, some poor dude from New Hampshire with a camera, they went, "It's a demon."
well, yeah. So where's the body of the alien? So we know it's an actual biological being and not a spiritual being from a different dimension or the supernatural.
Maybe it is. I'm just saying.
That's their argument.
So far, we've not seen. We've not encountered. I haven't encountered a demon or an angel.
Mark. By the way, this is a great question, Mark. This was a great question.
Yeah, it was. To get back to that.
Yeah. So. I've had people on our show that have talked about mantis aliens and many. Okay. Some people say the same thing. The little grays. We had the guy from MUFON, the state director of Michigan, said that he saw Bill Konkoleski, right? Talking about in that ship that he was in was a mantis almost dressed like in wizard robes or something, right? But he's not the only one to ever say that. So are these things able to implant this stuff in our head? And we don't really know what they look like. This is what they're showing us, right? It's possible because I had a message in my head when we dealt with our triangle situation of hearing a voice say, "Get out of here. You don't belong here. Get away." I mean, dude, it was messed up. I've never been that terrified in my life.
Well, you had that. I had that. Alex had that. It was almost like vibrational that you put into words. It was like get lost. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
a strange form of communication. I
It
think
is.
I do believe you had this thing because it's part of the reason you're so absorbed, you're so obsessed, not obsessed isn't the right word, but why this has affected you so greatly is
Yep.
because you have because I've realized that in myself, we experienced a form of communication that humans don't typically. It's like, whoa, that and that changes. I mean, a part of your brain
Yes.
has been has worked, has functioned in a way that we don't usually. I was like, how did they do that? Because Alex said the same thing. It was like, yeah, I can slow down, but get out of here. That's what I
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
My interpretation in words was, you're not supposed to be here. I could slow down, but I couldn't stop. Alex
Yep.
could slow down, but he couldn't stop. You were like, I got to get the hell out of here,
Yep.
and it was clear in a way that we with words can't explain. But why are there so many different varieties of aliens and ships? Probably because there's a crap load of different kinds of aliens, and there are, as Wayne said, there are some consistencies. But like I said earlier, there's also cases like this Carl Higdon in Wyoming back in the 70s, early 70s, that saw a being with bowed legs that looked kind of human, that had hair that looked like straw, totally different. Wasn't it gray? Wasn't it? There's a gal that lives right here I believe she lives in Novi, Nancy Tremaine, very famous gal. I mean, it's an extremely well documented case
Yep.
where a ship hovered right over her subdivision. Everybody in a subdivision saw it, and she was missing with a friend for like hours, and they swear that they were on this ship. And she said she was taken many, many times after that.
Yeah.
And there was a guy that flew the ship, and he looked absolutely like human. He looked like the pilot on American Airlines.
Yep.
And at one point, he turned to her and said, "See me as I really am." And suddenly, and this speaks to what you said, Wayne, do we see what they want us to see?
Yep.
Suddenly, he looked like a lizard. And she said, I went, ugh, he had a tail. And, then she got used to it. But I think they can make you see what they want you to see. You were right about that. But I think there's just sometimes you see what the hell they are, too,
So,
I think.
yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, anything is possible, right? At this point. So, I'm going to take a bite at this for a minute. The variety of aliens and ships. If we look at it from like a biological standpoint, or even like a military standpoint, an aircraft standpoint, whatever, its form denotes function, right? For us to function and grab things, we have an opposable thumb and fingers, right? So everything, a car drives. So that's its function. Its form is to have four wheels. A motorcycle, a bike has wheels. That form allows a certain type of function. If we apply those same type of ideas to the different variety of aliens, or ships, then we can probably pretty logically assume that they have different functions. Like, so for instance, I know Richie had talked about having Guy and I go on his show to talk about the 94 UFO thing that was happening on the west coast of Michigan. But Guy and I were on the east coast of Michigan, and Guy had his sighting the same year, almost to the day, where everything was going on the west side of the state with the weird polygonal looking types of craft that were being tracked on radar.
It was 10 days later.
Yeah. But the whole month of March was a mess for that. And I see chats blowing up here, and I want to try to get to things. But so you had the west side of the state that was getting attention because the radar was picking things up. Nobody was saying anything about what was going on the east side of the state. And from what I gather is on the east side of the state, the crafts were different. And that's where Guy comes in. And the kid that was in the Flint Journal that talked about seeing a large triangular craft, like the night before you, Guy, or was it after?
I found my experience was on the 18th.
Right.
Down to the Journal 23 years later. It was reported in the paper on the 15th, and it happened on the 10th. So
right.
It would have been 8 days before mine.
So I think the different ships and crafts that people are seeing have a different function, and that function would be denoted by their form. So what is that fun? I have no idea. Guy was saying, he had his coworkers and they talked about, some of them wrote up their story and MUFON about being abducted. These triangular craft. I mean, look at Terry Lovelace. Night of Devil's Den, where him and his buddy were camping at Devil's Den and were kidnapped and abducted
Yeah,
into a triangle.
the assistant attorney general of Vermont and American Samoa, and an ex Air
Yeah.
Force guy who
Yeah.
was a medic. I mean, how do people like just write this stuff off and go, I don't believe that. Who's going to make that guy's going to make? And he sat on it for 50 years.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you know what? I'm going to curse. The shit happened. The stuff happened to me. It happened to my coworkers. They got taken. They were gone. They were missing. 2 ladies 7 hours before at the same spot had the identical experience. It's totally bizarre. According to MUFON. I learned this from MUFON. Yep. They do take people. And this is something I want to just say, and I'll make it real quick. Even a lot of people that have seen UFOs close up, they absolutely will not buy this abduction stuff because it's scary as hell. It's creepy. I mean, we feel absolutely powerless. There's that, we're powerless to stop it apparently. And it's just too damn scary. And people that have seen a UFO real close, they'll say, well, I don't buy this abduction stuff. I'm like, everybody's making it up. Come on.
Well, but then we do have these idiots that do make things up by flying their hang gliders at night and putting, LEDs on the front and the tips, so it looks like a triangle flying around at night. I mean, this is the stuff that really pisses me off.
I'm not saying there's never been a hoax.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. So Iris says, "Why are there so many different humans and cars?" There you go. I mean, good point. Now I'm gonna try to blast through some of these, Guy.
Go ahead. No, I did. You told me you wanted to start this. You wanted to do this, and you wanted me to talk all night long and never let you get a word in edgewise.
Samo says he didn't need to defend them. I think you're talking about like Richie defending third phase of the moon. I don't think that at all. So. No, he didn't need to defend them. They can defend themselves. I mean, I don't know enough about them or what's going on. All I know is that I look at certain things, and if everything they were putting out was happening for real, we would be inundated with crazy UFO stories. And I don't know. I'm not sold on it. Just because I know how my experience happened and what Guy has said and other people, that these things don't act like what you see on video. So that's just me though. So take it or leave it. Rick says, isn't all science theory in a way? It's tested for a hypothesis, an idea.
Well, it's always being revised,
It is. But in order for something to become a theory, it has to be tested over and over and over. That's the scientific method.
And the problem with this whole thing is, we talked about it, I think, in another podcast, is scientific proof is a very high bar, And if these things are potentially, let's just say they're 100,000 years ahead of us. Let's say they're 1,000,000 years ahead of us. They could be so elusive. They could have technology so insane that they could do things with time. They could make themselves impossible to capture. And this is what I sense having had these experiences that I've had, right? I think, waiting around to get one, as I said in another podcast, in your garage or in a laboratory, good luck. And I can understand why scientists would demand that. That's probably not going to happen, although I think we've probably got some of these craft out in, in like places like Area 51 or wherever they're hiding them now.
Mm-hmm.
And we've probably got that stuff. But I mean, for one could, let's just say, for instance, they can jack with time. Let's say one crashes in downtown Toledo by the mall, right? They might be able to do something to make that not happen or clean it up in a way. And this sounds way out, right? But it's also way out that I had a psychic thing that the neighbors have said our house exploded in a blue and white ball of light, that electronic devices shut themselves off in my presence at times. I mean, really bizarrely. There's a lot. This is there's some weird stuff going on that's so far beyond us that, and people are like, well, I want the data. I want to have one in my, I want my buddy Ralph, who's got an astrophysics degree, as an engineer, to get one in his shop and take it apart. Good luck with that, because I don't. That's a problem. I agree. Very elusive. They're very elusive.
I agree, but I want one.
Well, everybody. Right? Yeah, exactly.
We saw it. We know what these things are capable of and what they do. But okay, Samo says, they leave it to us to decide, but come on now. People just want the next UFO video. Yesterday's UFO video is short-lived. How's that for UFOs? I've seen what I've seen, and I don't seek stardom. There you go.
Yeah.
Well said, man.
Well, yeah, it's like me. I made a 5-part series because I was having these nightmares that people would find it out too suddenly. This was a big thing with me. I had a couple of nightmares and I thought, people got to know this. I mean, they're not monetized. I didn't try to get famous, and that's, I mean, you gotta ask yourself, like Samo said, when people are just, telling their stories, and we all know I'm a reasonably intelligent person. I'm not, I'm not going to win any Nobel Prizes, or, I did cheat on a few exams in high school, but I'm just saying I'm not a complete idiot. I know that I'm painting a target on my back by being honest about this stuff, because it's way out. But the thing is, there's too many people that have had these experiences. There aren't that many crazy people. There aren't that many people who are pathological liars. You don't get anything for it. Talking about Navy SEALs, just my own character, my own personality. One of my favorite channels on YouTube was a guy named Don Shipley, who he goes in. He's Navy. I love Don Shipley. Because he goes and finds these jackaloons that buy phony uniforms and tell people are Navy SEALs or admirals and shit. And he busts their chops, and I love it, because you got to be out of your mind. I love Don Shipley's videos because I can't stand a liar or a bullshitter. I think, interestingly, I've thought about it the last year or so. That's why I came out and was honest about this, because I tend to be an honest person.
All right. So I'm going to jump in here, Guy, because we got a lot of comments that are backing up. I don't want to get to everybody, but I want to get to everybody.
Get to everybody.
So Diane says, I feel the same thing about Third Phase of Moon just by watching a few different shows over the last few weeks, because they show a lot of proof. Okay. Samo right here. A lot of people fake it.
Yeah,
and Diane says different shows she meant. Yeah, I got you. Let's see. What else do we have? So people, I want to try to get to you. Let's see. Science is fact. Science is fact. Everything else is opinion. If it's been tested, you can say it's fact or evidence or proof.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is opinion.
Diane's back here saying, I think there are things we haven't discovered yet. Yeah. Okay. Yep. 100%. Look at fact. Okay. Diane, what does Diane say? I like Guy says it how it is. Does he get along with Richie? Yeah.
I like Richie. Richie's probably harsher on people than I am. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't really. Sometimes I'm very adamant about certain things, but pretty much I'm a peace-loving guy, and I don't diss on people much. Richie does. If anything, I think he attacks a lot of people, and I stay away from that. I mean, there's people that. I'm not a big fan of Jeremy Corbell. I think, as Jim Goodall said, he's kind of into self-promotion. He's probably revealed some good things, maybe. I don't know. I really don't trust the government. But anyway, I'm all right with Richie. I like Richie.
Yeah. Reports of grays, orbs, mantis, reptilians, Nordics, so many different types. Yep. And is that them making, you
Yeah, no,
visualize them that way? That would be, if Guy's saying what Guy's saying is true, if they're so much more advanced than us, then their technology, they could probably make us think anything. They could
yeah.
have us in a matrix right now. Yeah, I mean, and this could all be a big simulation, and you get into simulation theory. Let's see. Moving down here, I thought I saw a new guy join in. It was a friend of mine. Let's see if I can find it. And if I skipped anything that's really important. Oh, what's this one? Oh, okay. So, Samo, this is still talking about third phase of the moon. They don't, so he's talking about third phase of moon, don't claim it's theirs. That's correct. Yeah. They get stuff sent just like I get stuff sent to me. While S4 Anthony claimed it was his, so Richie gave it to him. Cambion just makes drama. Madness, Wayne, we're doomed. Well, you know what? The only way there can be drama is if you want to participate in it. And, between Cambion and I don't know the deal with S4 Anthony. I don't know much about him, or I've seen a show a couple times, but I don't know what was going on with that. But this reminds me of, what was the thing that we were watching together, Guy?
I don't know. We've watched a lot of
The
stuff.
triangle thing.
The thing with something in the
Secure
sky.
team. Secure team. Secure team.
Okay.
The video you put out. And I said, I think there's been some bad stuff about this guy that he did, faking and things like that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I shared a
Yeah.
documentary, and yeah, it turns out.
And I think that's old news in the community, and
Yeah.
we're just digging and finding some of this stuff out. Yeah.
Guy,
But
what's his name? He's been in a lot of trouble, so I guess.
yeah,
I don't know.
I kind of take the road not like Richie as well. I mean, Richie is Richie, but when I interview people, and Michelle and I interview people, it's not that we are not going to ask the tough questions. We want them to air their story. You want them to tell their side of things. And we'll ask the hard questions, but I mean, hell, Guy, you broke down during our interview where we had to stop for a minute because things were getting too close to home
Well,
and
it's only maybe the
triggering things.
second or third time I'd ever told all this stuff.
Yeah.
It really messed with my head. I mean, all I know is there's obviously some kind of beings that I don't think are us coming here, and maybe I'm full of beans. All right.
Yeah.
I've
All
had
I know is we don't have time for drama.
Right.
We got our stories. We know what happened. And Guy's got a lot more to his story because of the involvement of the people around him on top of what he saw. So there you go.
I was kind of like that. I was kind of like the dude in the trucks and Fire in the Sky.
Yeah.
I didn't see him go, but I'm sure they went because I know she was missing. I listened to her cry for a week.
Yeah, that was rough.
She wouldn't talk about it for the rest of her life. She wasn't lying.
Yeah. Hey, there he is, Anthony. Once we fully understand quantum mechanics and string theory, the way we do Newtonian physics, everything is going to change. Probably.
Yep.
Yep. Because that's when you'll get into that mind-bending technology, right? And then we'll get into the quantum computing.
And I got a great story about quantum stuff, but I can tell you, but I don't know if you
okay. I'm just about through these comments, so.
Oh well, just now. This is an anecdote.
Okay.
As what's his name? Rocky. I can't think. I don't see he's always here. What's his name? I can't see his. It's not a fact. It's just what a gal told me. But a gal watched my videos online. She had a business right on 34th Street in New York City. She was a craftsman. She repaired vintage woodwind instruments. And the Rockefeller group bought out her. I mean, this was a successful woman, right? She wasn't a kook. And she got a hold of me, and she said tons of UFO experiences and dealt with aliens, right? And the reason she got a hold of me was she'd had these blue lights around her house so many times, like I did, that she strung her house with blue lights because she was trying to ward him away, and it scared her. But here's a crazy story I heard. But I got to know her, and all I can say is she didn't seem crazy. And she swore to me. In fact, this was one of the crazier things anybody ever told me that I kind of got to know. And, is it true? I don't know. But she said one time when she got abducted, she said they took her to a library. And I said, I'm just going along. I'm like, is this woman all right? She seemed normal. I said, you mean like a library on a craft? Or she said, no, they took me, there's a library about 4 blocks from my house. And they took me down to this library, and, they can do that. They just took me right through the doors, and they stood me in front of these books about quantum physics. And she said that they told me that if I studied these and read these books, I would understand kind of what they were and how they operated and stuff. It was a crazy story, but I mean, the woman seemed Copus Mentis to me, and maybe it's bullshit. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you what's not bullshit. It's this guy right here.
We've needed you badly, Burton, because I've said everything I can think of. I was about to recite the alphabet.
How you guys doing?
We're doing all right, man.
Good.
We're just talking about all kinds of stuff and trying to stay away from what the original plan was.
Yeah.
Saving that for tomorrow. Yeah. All right, let's see. And I'm just going through some comments right now because Guy and I have been having a great conversation about this stuff. It's been awesome. Let's see. Anthony says, no, space is multidimensional, but when we can generate enough energy to actually warp space-time, it'll be a game changer. NASA's experimenting with small-scale warp engines. Yeah.
Fascinating. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, if I didn't get to your comments, people, I just want to kind of get moving along. We got Burton here now. So, Burton, what's going on, man? Well,
not a whole lot. Just had a very long and busy day. But I'm glad I was able to at least swoop in real quick, for however long we can.
Yeah. So everybody, tomorrow we'll have our show that we were going to do today. And that'll be at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. Okay. That's weird. 8 o'clock.
Freudian slip.
Yeah. I don't know how Freudian that was.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Getting uncomfortable with this.
No. That's wait a minute. Where's my sound effects here? Because that was definitely a flag on the play.
Yeah,
Here we go. Man, that's tough.
The background for this that you have up right now is really cool.
All right, bro. This background, what is the composite putting together 3 different AI generated images.
Really?
Yeah, and the images were I typed in a box. It said just type in words. So I put in aliens, Bigfoot, nighttime, UFOs.
That's crazy, man.
And skinwalker.
Worked good.
Yeah. And that's, just real quick. And I can see why artists are kind of worried about AI.
I was going to say you look like a graphics arts genius.
There
goes
it is.
The gig for,
Sweet.
anybody that does this or used to do it.
Look at that. That's crazy.
That is
and
weird.
the AI just came up with it,
That's wild.
So yeah, I was like, all right, Guy, we're gonna go on live here because we were supposed to. I got everything set up. Let's go. But tomorrow at 8 o'clock will be our normal show. We're gonna talk about Michigan Bigfoot, Michigan Chupacabra with the 911 call about the Chupacabra. And we're gonna talk about Chinese UFOs that were just shot down today. Da-dun-da-dun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Oh, Diane's here. Diane's here. Burton, the cool dude.
Yep.
There he is.
Hi, Diane.
But he doesn't have a Chihuahua.
No.
That's true. I do
No,
not.
he doesn't have a Chihuahua.
You can get one. I got one I'm willing to sell you for $375.
All right, let's see. What's Anthony saying here? Yeah, it's gonna be crazy when we get away from basic binary computing. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
Who knows what's possible? I think everything is possible. That's the crazy thing. More than we can imagine.
Hey, who's this guy that's shown up? Atlantis is found. What's up, man?
Let's see.
Good seeing you. So yeah, I don't know, Burton, anything you wanna we were just getting into some of the fraudster stuff out there and talking a little bit. Guy was holding up an ashtray, I think, that had some crystals in it. I got some here. I got some quartz that's been melted in the shape of a glass bowl.
I'm getting vibrations.
And it's got wait a minute, hold on. Great crystal bowl. I am hungry. Please produce food. Almonds. Amazing.
I ate a piece of chocolate earlier and had a big chunk of chocolate stuck to my tooth.
Probably.
So much for my. So much.
Fucking Shippy dropped that Adam Street haunted night.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, all right. Yeah, I'll let you know.
It looks like Burton's getting some last minute urgent news.
Actually, yeah, it's kind of.
What was that all about? Come on, Burton, what was that?
It is kind of relevant to us in some way. When I told you about the haunted Saginaw stuff.
Oh yeah, the Shippy, right?
Yeah. Apparently, he dropped a new documentary tonight on I think on YouTube.
Oh, that might be why he hasn't answered my emails. He's been busy doing that.
He's constantly making a new document. There's actually another one. Oh shoot, I can't remember when it comes out, but it's like soon. I think it's sometime in February or March. It says it on his social media, but there's another one coming on Discovery Plus called The Michigan Hell House or something like that.
Ooh.
And it's about one of the houses he's investigated many times on Dice Road out there near Saginaw, Michigan.
I got to ask you guys. I shared that thing on Messenger with you about what's that chocolate stick here? Yeah. I sent you a thing on Messenger, you two, about this Flight 401. I thought that was really interesting. Did you guys watch that?
I have not watched that yet. I got that off to the side.
Man, it's crazy, man. I mean,
I missed that.
I'm not the ghost guy. I'm not the paranormal guy. And I thought it was just a fascinating story to be on Mayday air crash disasters. It's pretty, it's kind of terrifying shows and informative and dramatic, but I've never seen any ghost stuff on one of those. And the ending of that one is just fascinating.
Yeah.
I'll have to check it. What's it called again?
It's, well, I shared it with you and Wayne on Messenger. And basically, I can tell you the whole story in like 20 seconds. This Eastern Airlines jet crashed in Louisiana, killed 99 people, all but one of the crew. And it came in, the autopilot kind of landed it in a swamp. So there were parts that were salvageable. Mm-hmm. And they put a bunch of these parts in another Eastern Airlines jet. And for like a year, jets that had those parts in them, crew and passengers swore that they were seeing apparitions of the dead crew. And publicly, Eastern Airlines rolled their eyes and said, and this guy, the narrator said privately, they were totally freaked out and took all of those parts out of those planes because it was scaring the hell out of the crews and the passengers. I thought
that's interesting.
Yeah, they wrote a book about it. They wrote a book.
I've heard that story before. I just didn't know what the name of the plane was. But
if you'd actually pay attention to the messages that I send you on Messenger,
I do.
If you actually cared about me, if there was any real caring or concern, I edited it, I cut it down. I went, here, I want you to have this, Burton, and you went, guy. Again.
No.
Oh my God. It's Guy being the old curmudgeon. Get off his lawn.
Get off my lawn.
Watch this video I sent you, Burton. God damn it. Yeah.
Drop everything. Guy just sent me a video. I'm having surgery right now, but I've got to leave the hospital. Throw me up quick.
Well, on a serious account, there's those people that have had transplantations of organs,
Oh yeah,
organ
right.
transplants, and they now get a taste or get a habit or a craving for a certain food that their donor had that they never had before.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I've heard
this
that.
genetic.
I've heard of that.
Hey, if it can work like a genetic memory type of thing,
Yep, I've heard of
why
that.
can't it work for something like that? I mean, like
Wow.
what do they call that?
I don't know.
Psychometry or
I just
something?
call it really weird. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can cause enough trauma with people dying like that and have that energy released into the surrounding area,
Yeah.
it's like an implant of their last moments.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, Burton, go ahead, take it away, man. What's up?
I mean, kind of going off that kind of thing. One of the aspects of, I don't know, I guess you could call it a related paranormal thing is like someone being like not regenerated, but like someone that like is born and they like have all these memories and they like end up
Resurrection?
solving a murder. No, like reincarnation. There we go. Reincarnation. Sorry. Some of those stories where it's like little kids that like,
Yeah, I watch all that stuff.
there was one where like he was like, I was this person and I was murdered, and they found the remains, and he's like, I know who did it. Went to the dude's house, and the dude confessed to the murder like 50 years later or something like that. Another one where the kid was like, I died in he was like, I was in the military and in an airplane and we crashed and I died, and he like found the airplane.
Yeah, that's a famous one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
they wrote a book
stuff.
called Soul Survivor. That's
okay.
soul spelled SOUL. That's a very famous one. Yeah, those are
because I mean that's the thing is a lot of those cases are so well documented and like involve police officers and like everything.
Anthony's right.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
And this is a big deal with like, what is it, the Dalai Lama? Like they go searching for children that are born that supposedly are the Dalai Lama reincarnated. And there's ways of testing this, and they do it. That's fascinating stuff.
Yeah. Like it.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like UFO stuff. I mean, in some ways, it's almost better because typically these kids are real small and then they lose the memories. And I don't know how the kid that was the World War II pilot that died was like 2 years old when he started saying he flew a Corsair.
Yeah.
And, his parents were like, well, what the hell is a Corsair?
Right.
And telling his mother that his mom bought him a toy plane. And she said, look, honey, he's got bombs. And he goes, he's the kid's too, right? And he goes, those aren't bombs. Those are drop tanks. And she was like, what? And how do you explain that stuff?
I mean, exactly. They are hard to debunk. Like,
I think they are.
I don't know how. I don't know how to debunk that.
Here, I'll debunk it. It's all bullshit.
There you go.
It's debunked.
There you go. That's
case closed.
Hey, you could run for office.
It's all debunked.
There you go.
Give me a flashlight and a couple cell phone cameras in my garage in the dark, and I can debunk everything with a balloon.
Well, you know what? A lot of you guys know I'm into UFO stuff and watch tons of documentaries in them. Who knows what it means? Who knows what it means, right? I believe in abduction because of what happened, and a lot of abductees swear they use the phrase that reincarnation is the engine of the universe. Now, I've heard it from a lot of people. Hey, stop that! Stop that now!
Hey, Anthony said it. That was a bullshit answer.
I got to get a pillow, man. I'm sitting on a really hard chair, and I've got a really old butt.
Well, that's what happens when you sit on a chair and for almost 2 hours now. Wayne, what does Samo say? Wayne says they all delusional. Yeah, it's all bullshit.
I need to get a studio. You guys got these slick. I got my den I remodeled, and I built all this stuff you see here. But I want something behind me that's cool and
Get a green screen, man, like $30.
too
Stand
lazy.
and all.
I don't give a shit.
That's what I got.
I just
Except
know what.
that's not a green screen. That's an actual huge tapestry I ordered from the place that
That
does
looks
the
cool.
shirts.
Seriously, it does. I haven't
It's
got
huge.
the time or the energy to screw around with stuff like that.
They did a good job with printing that. It looks like too, because sometimes when
It's amazing, dude.
Yeah,
I was
they
so
mess it up.
surprised.
yeah,
Yeah.
it looks really nice.
Are you still selling like T-shirts and coffee mugs? Because we need money.
I know. I need money to pay for this damn trip I'm booked on.
I know.
Good Lord.
When is it again?
The
June.
Cosmic Summit, June 16th, 17th, and 18th. So I got my flight booked, got my hotel room booked. So with the
Graham
ticket
Hancock.
and everything.
Wow.
Yeah,
Where is it again?
Asheville, North Carolina.
Okay, so that's not too far.
Yeah, so I fly from Detroit to Charlotte, then jump on a little commuter jet and go from Charlotte over to Asheville, and then get a cab and go to my hotel, and then to the Crown Royal something or other, where the big one is. They sold out all their tickets. The only way you can see it now is virtually. And of course, they've been Graham Hancock and Randall Carlson have been on Joe Rogan a few times now, and of course, people are going to go. So,
Is it how do you see it virtually? Is it like free on YouTube or something, or
no, you buy a ticket,
Buy a ticket.
and you go on Randall's. Randall's got his own streaming service called HowTube.
okay?
Yeah.
Wow, nice.
So, you buy a virtual ticket for that, and let me show everybody since we're talking about it. So there you go. This is the Cosmic Summit. We got Jimmy Corsetti, Graham Hancock, Randall Carlson, and Johanna James. She will be the Master of Ceremonies, the MOC. I guess they don't call them MCs anymore. It's MOC. But yeah, so live streaming access is right there. In-person attendance is sold out.
Nice.
But yeah, look at all these people, man. You got
It's gonna be a
Ben,
good
who I've
time.
had on the show. Colonel Matt Lohmeyer, I've had him on the show. Russ, he's one of the Brothers of the Serpent. He's been on the show. Micah Hanks. And these are all the scientists that are working on the comet impact theory. So, yeah, really cool stuff. And now they're putting little blurbs up on their site. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, you can go to live stream.
It's gonna be a good time.
How much is it to watch it? Like, well, you don't have to. You don't have to bop around to find that. I wondered
Let's
if you
see.
did.
Shouldn't be too much. $50 live stream access for the whole thing
That's not
Oh,
bad.
that's not bad.
for Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, I paid too much money. I don't even want to think about
You
it.
got to sell them damn coffee cups. You
I
want
don't
to?
make, I don't make any profit on that stuff, man.
I know
It's
you
like
don't.
Yeah.
Seriously, I know you don't. I got a question. I'm
$1.
not even kidding. I shouldn't be asking this when we're doing a live stream, but I've never been appropriate socially, and why start now? Like, I've watched these other live streams, and I don't know how this stuff works. I'm old, and I don't give a shit. But like there'll be a button, and somebody, oh, thanks for the super chat, and somebody sends them $10. Why don't you do that? I mean,
well, you can do that once you have like 1,000 subscribers. Then that becomes an option on.
well, you
On
just
YouTube.
spent a lot of time working on this stuff, and to get a little bit of something that for your time is not unreasonable.
Yeah, but Wayne's right though. It does really all come down to the subscribers and the views and all that stuff.
Is that it? Okay, I don't know how it works. I don't. I really don't.
What I have found is that because a lot of like bigger people and stuff like that will like complain about restrictions that YouTube will put on them or whatever.
Mhm.
What I found is, unless you like release a video with some kind of a copywritten song in it or something like that, then it'll just have a copyright strike, and then it's not a monetizable video anymore. Besides that, I don't really give a shit about smaller or anything that the smaller channels do, because they're not creating any revenue or anything like that. So
Right.
kind of get away with a little bit more.
Yeah.
little bit more fun, like Wild West.
I just wondered because I'll see people donate $25 to somebody who's just talking away, and I'm like,
Yeah,
wow.
and I think YouTube takes like 45% of that. So if you do a
They
super
do?
chat, say, yeah, like if you do a super chat to Richie for say $5, I think YouTube gets half of it, man. I think that's how
Wow,
they
wait,
make their
really?
money.
Racket, man.
I think.
Well, they need
I
money.
remember Gemma saying that. Gemma Jade, she does her shows live and she would tell people, if you want to make a donation, do PayPal or something like that because YouTube now where you can recover
That's
that
not cool.
money. Yeah, I know. And where you can recover that money is if you do monetize your channel, then you'll get the AdSense stuff.
Right.
But you need to be doing a lot more stuff than what we're doing. So,
It's funny. I didn't know how YouTube worked, and I just got a channel to upload like pet videos, and I uploaded some remodeling videos, and I got a video of me with my old Chihuahua singing Feliz Navidad to her, and she poops in my lap, and I was just goofing with my webcam. It's just a silly channel, right? Some old band videos. But I uploaded this documentary from National Geographic. I went, well, gee, this isn't on YouTube, and people would like it. It was about the Challenger disaster. It's got like 600,000 views, right? And I didn't know you couldn't do that. I mean, it's how little I cared or knew about YouTube, right?
sure.
And they didn't say anything. And a buddy of mine kept riding me to get monetized. I was like, what does that mean? And he knew all about AdSense, and he rode me for about 6 months. And I went through this thing, and I got it monetized. And about every 3 months, I'd get a check for like $80 or something, right? And then they told me that particularly that one about the Challenger disaster, just like 6 or 8 people that it was very touching. They in the comments they'd written stuff like, "I knew that a person on board this, or I worked at NASA, and they said I come here every January 28th and watch this. This is the best documentary." And I get this thing from YouTube, and it says that if I remove that video, and it's one other one that had some background music, I could stay monetized. And I was like, you know what? To get $80 every 3 months, I don't give a shit. I'm not gonna. This one video really mattered to these people. I mean, I was like, okay. I mean, you should read some of these comments on it. And I just thought, I didn't know how it worked. I didn't know it was some violation. I thought it was a place where people uploaded whatever videos. And, I didn't read the terms of service or any of that stuff.
Oh.
But these people really loved that video, and it was meaningful to them because they knew people who had worked at NASA at the time, or they did. They knew people that died in it, and they watch it. And I'm like, no, I'm not taking this down to get $60 to $110 every 3 months.
Yeah.
So I can go out to dinner or something, So I just said, screw it and let it be demonetized,
Well, see, look, I told you needed to get your
$80
channel, get
for Charlie's
stream,
Toys.
get StreamYard going, and we'll get your channel going as well. And you got to get that money for Charlie to get some toys.
Yeah, the dude, he loves toys, man. We've had some friends give us toys. He loves them. I didn't even have to teach him to fetch. A little guy, he'll bring me these balls, and he drops them in my lap, and I got to throw them for like 35 minutes. And he just runs. He'll run till he's, till he about has cardiac arrest. He's a crazy kid. But it's funny. It's like money's cool, but I'm old, and I care more about people and life and honesty, and money is. You and Michelle spend an awful lot of time. That hurts Charlie. Okay, so maybe I'll do I could have. See, I've got like 2,300 subscribers, and I could have a super chat, and everybody could. I hope money to YouTube. I'd give it to Wayne. He spends a shitload of time on this stuff.
I spend way too much time on this stuff.
I don't do any. The only thing I've spent is I bought a T-shirt, and Linda for my birthday bought me a microphone, so I didn't have to lean way into my webcam.
You need one of these fuzzy things on that microphone.
Yeah. I got this thing. What
pop
is this? I got this thing.
It's a pop guard.
Yeah.
So, do I need to use this?
If you don't have one of these fuzzy things on the mic, you can set that up in front of it. It helps with the popping.
The fuzzy thing looks more my speed in terms of technical abilities.
You can get like hang on, I can show you 1 second.
Poor Charlie. I think he's asleep. I should tell him.
Poor Charlie. That's where everybody should be right now. We've been going almost 2 hours straight.
Everybody's concerned about Charlie.
There you go.
Like, here's a mic. They just sell these fuzzy parts separately.
Yeah. Right.
So you can get 3 of them for like $2.
Yeah, on Amazon.
I can swing $2.
Yeah, they're super cheap and they do help.
Yeah, I should get one, but I already feel like I went Hollywood since I got a microphone like this. I move it around sometimes and it doesn't even really need to be moved. I just want to show, hey, I got a microphone. I'm just like the big kids,
That's a nice one too.
It's the one I think Wayne is Audio Technica or something.
Yeah, it's the 2100X RX something,
Yep.
XT something. They're pretty good.
It's whatever you told me to get.
Yeah,
it was like $95.
Yeah, and you get the boom arm and the shock, the shock holder.
And it came with that pop filter thing. So
yeah.
So anyway, I don't know where they're from, what they are. Tell us about ghosts, Burton. We want to know.
Richie,
What
alien
about-
girl, then Nathaniel. Now here, I'm
You're
drunk.
not drunk. It's the best way to listen to me. Trust me.
Yeah. Get off his
all
lawn.
of my ex-wives filed for divorce the minute they quit drinking. They were like, "This is what he's like. Keep drinking. We'll make sense. I'll make a lot of sense to you."
Yeah, I do need to get a actually, I definitely do need to get a ghost hunt scheduled. I haven't been on one in a long time. But there
Weather
are
sucks right now.
well, yeah. A lot of them are inside, but most of the buildings don't have heat. There are a few locations though that I'm really excited about getting out to this summer, not necessarily for an investigation, but Steve Shippey has his haunted museum out there in Saginaw. There's another haunted museum that just opened up down in Monroe. That the guy that opened it, he's also like a filmmaker, and I was an extra in one of his movies once, and he also bought like Greenfield Village. You ever been there?
Yeah.
Like imagine like a little like kind of like fake town like that, but it's all old Western style. There was apparently an abandoned one of those somewhere down near Monroe, and the guy that has the haunted museum down there bought that as well. And sometime this year, he's going to open it as like a year-round Halloween town.
Now, hey, Burton, Anthony says here something about the ones at Fort Wayne were cool. I'm guessing like probably like ghost hunts and stuff like that. And you were at one of those, right? That's where you had your.
Yeah, Anthony, are you talking about Fort Wayne in Detroit? Because I've been there. I've been there 3 times investigating. Yeah.
You said they're not doing them anymore?
I thought they were, or at least I know they were like leading up to pandemic. I don't know since then.
The one in Monroe is badass. It's downtown, he says.
Yeah, I've heard good things.
Yeah.
I haven't been yet, but I'm looking forward to going.
Burton,
The guy that owns it is a cool guy.
Yeah, Burton does the on location ghost hunting and stuff. That's cool.
There's some dude up in Saginaw that posted a video, a documentary thing.
Probably Steve Shipley.
Steve Shippey is the guy.
And it was some house that was all this crazy stuff happened. I watched it about 4 months ago.
Oh yeah.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah, that was probably the Dice Roadhouse. Was there a bunch of was there like was there a lot of like police involvement in that one and stuff like that, if you remember?
I genuinely don't recall if the police were involved, but seemed pretty well documented and lot of strange stuff happened. It was just some old house up in Saginaw, and this guy made a documentary. And I don't watch a lot of ghost stuff, but that was good. I watched the whole thing.
Shippy has those. He's got like 10 of them out, and a lot of them, some of them you still have to rent and stuff, but a lot of them are free on Amazon, and a few are. I think a couple of them are on YouTube.
I think I saw it on YouTube.
They are fantastic.
They're findable. Yeah, the one that he did on the Temple Theater in downtown Saginaw was one of my favorites. That was a really, really good one. There was a really incredible video of a full body apparition like walking by this open doorway, and it was one of the best catches I've ever seen. It was really good.
I didn't used to believe in ghosts, but I've talked to too many people that have seen them, including my sister, and I didn't expect that. I think I told you guys about that. And she was in this really, really old hotel in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, on business, and she was sitting on the toilet, and she calls me Butch, right? Everybody calls me Butch. Butch is my family name, nobody calls me Guy. And she said the bathroom door opened, and coming from my sister, it blew me away. She said, Butch, she said, I swear to God. She said, this guy looked like had a uniform, like some kind of army, like Civil War kind of thing. And she said he's standing there, and he just like evaporated. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
anytime you're anywhere near any of that like Civil War battle stuff seems to be highly, highly active.
Yeah, it's strange. I mean, I used to make jokes about ghosts, but I know too many people have seen them. But a lot of times it seemed like me and a buddy were joking one day. He's seen a bunch of UFOs. He's had poltergeist stuff too, but I said, why is it always Civil War soldiers? What's that about? I always hear that, It seemed like a kind of like the UFO thing that's always grays. It's always Civil War soldiers,
Yeah.
That's there are these weird things that pop up the more you into this stuff you look. Like, Gettysburg is like the most haunted fucking place in the country. Is what a lot of people will say. And anywhere with major Civil War, plantations are another big one, but like almost none more than if there's like a something to do with Native Americans. If there's like a burial ground, an ancient site of some kind having to do with Native American in some way, shape, or form, it is like always just not just haunted, but like unbelievably active.
Yeah, like paranormal stuff. Yeah.
Skinwalker Ranch is an example.
Now, see what I would want to do in those situations, because exactly of how you described that, I would want to dig down into the dirt, not mess with any graves.
No,
I would want to get like soil samples, and you know what I would look for?
What?
Biochar. I would look to see if there is terra preta there.
You saw the Skinwalker Ranch thing on, I think, History Channel. It's on Hulu, but did you see that most recent TV show? I think there's 2 seasons of it. I think
Oh yeah.
They did take like dirt samples and get them tested in that one. I can't remember what the results were, but I remember thinking it was interesting.
I think they were saying that the Uintah Basin is basically an impact crater.
Yeah. I could see that.
Which is a whole nother
can of
thing.
Worms. Yeah.
Oh, what's this? Anthony says, I went to the Bell Witch Manor and Cave, and that shit was unsettling. I bet.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's near Fort Campbell. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bell Witch, all I can think of is the song by King Diamond.
Nice. No, Bell Witch is an interesting story.
You metalheads, I don't know who King Diamond is,
Oh,
yeah, well, he's a big metal singer that was in the band Merciful Fate, and then he branched off and sings a lot about demonic and satanic stuff and hidden messages in his music and lyrics. It all revolves around.
Did he ever work with the Stylistics or Earth, Wind, and Fire?
Okay.
No, I know a lot of Merle Haggard stuff.
So yeah, he was one of the one. He squeals like a cat. A lot of people can't
Sometimes.
stand his singing, but
Yeah,
when
it's
you
one of those extreme
understand,
vocal styles.
yeah, when you understand why he's doing that, you know, he's playing parts in a story. All of his
Yes.
albums are stories. And my middle child, actually, I'm a huge King Diamond Merciful Fate fan, and my middle child's name is Abigail.
Oh, really? Nice.
And yeah, she's named after the Abigail
Yeah.
albums. Yeah, Anthony says Grandma. Yeah, yep. Grandma, Welcome Home is the name of the song. Grandma gets let out of an institution. See, he does concept albums, and they're all like paranormal themed ghosts and demons, and the possessed teacup teapot they called Amen, you know, named after the god and all that stuff. So really, really cool stuff. He's a great writer when it comes to that stuff. You could just read his lyrics to get the story, you know. Good stuff. Let's see. Great show. Something came up, but I have to go. Watch the rest later. Alien Bless. All right, Diane. Alien Bless.
Diane.
We will be on tomorrow, everybody. We will be on tomorrow at 8:00 Eastern time, and we will cover the things that we were originally going to cover today. But let's just say things got moved around, and we'll leave it at that.
It was fun talking anyway.
Yeah.
It's always good to talk to you guys. And, you know.
Like, subscribe, share. I always forget to do that. Yeah, and we do have we got here. Let me put the banners up, and this will be in the show notes. So
we're like so incompetent. It's crazy. You know?
It is, and you know, usually Michelle is running. She's my co-host on StreamYard, so she'll run this stuff a lot. So I'm doing all of it right now. So yeah, down in the show description.
I just want to know if you guys if we're all going to go out in March to like between Baldwin and Thompson.
Yeah,
Road.
we gotta figure that out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and it's supposed to be getting warm out soon, so hopefully it won't be too bad out.
Yeah, and if you guys want to email us your stories, and we'll read them on our podcast or on here or both, just email us at mi.ufo.podcast@gmail.com.
I got a question. Could you ever have like if Sammy or somebody that, you know, like he mentioned, he's had an experience, like while we're doing this, could you ever send him a link and they could just come on and talk? Like we could just invite friends.
Yeah, you can do a call-in show.
Yeah, like Sammy always shows up, and I think he said he's had experiences, and maybe he wouldn't want to. I don't know. But.
Right. That's just it.
Yeah.
So, and you got to be kind of careful too, because when you send the link out to somebody to have them come on the show live, you know, I think Richie says you got to have your camera on and you got to have a shirt on or something. You got to have clothes on.
Yeah.
People will show up.
Yeah. I mean, okay. You know what? Scratch that idea. A lot of bad things could happen. I don't know what I was thinking.
All right. Before we go.
Show Charlie. Let me see. I'll get him. I think he's sleeping with Mom just a minute.
All right.
Charlie.
Come on, Charlie.
He was asleep.
We got to say our goodbyes.
Dad, I was sleeping. I was sleeping with Mom.
Yeah, but see.
I was out of it.
There he is. Hold on.
Charles,
let me blow you
Charles Barkley.
There you go.
Charles Barkley. Charlie, what do you think, buddy? He says, Dad, I got my nails cut today. It was traumatic. It was awful. They were trying to cut my feet off, I think. He was crying. He was like, this is bullshit. Some kind of puppy abuse. He gets when he started, especially, he's a little out of it. He bites my finger like, I think this is a friggin' toy. I don't know. Yeah. You need to go back to sleep, Bowser.
All right, guys. It's been 2 hours and 5 minutes. No breaks, no nothing. Let's go to bed.
All right.
All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. We're gonna get out of here.
Hi, Eris.
And Eris, thank you. Anthony, thanks for showing up, man. Good to see you. Intergalactic Overhaul, thank you. Samo, always great to have you on. Who else did we have? Diane Boss.
Say bye-bye.
Atlantis is found. Zach Diecast Mansour was here. So he talks about and before we go, he says this: I had an up close UFO experience, but never seen a ghost. I also know credible friends and family who have seen ghosts, though.
There
Man,
you
send us an email, Zach, if you see this later. Send us an email with that and tell us your description.
Yeah, Zach, please do.
Yeah, I'd be very interested in that. And at least we could get a record of it.
And we don't feel so alone. We're not
Yeah.
the only crazy people.
Eris, we want to thank you for coming out. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. And
Charlie says good night.
Charlie says good night.
Good
Burton?
night, Charlie. Good night, everybody.
All
We'll be
right.
back tomorrow.
We will be back tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern time. And we're going to talk about Michigan Bigfoot reports, Michigan Dogman reports with a 911 tape. And we're going to talk about these Chinese quote unquote UFOs that they're blowing out of the sky now. So, we'll see what happens. Yeah, Zach, thank you, man. Definitely send it. Type it up and send it to mi.ufo.podcast@gmail.com.
Be interesting.
You'll find all that in the show notes once we're done here. So, all right, awesome. Thank you, everybody. Share, like, subscribe, and we're going to get out of here. So,
Good
have a
night.
great night.
Be nice to each other.
Yeah. Be nice to each other and Charlie.
Yeah,
And we're
Charlie
out.
says, bye-bye.